It's happened to you. You might deny it, but deep down, you know it has. That moment when your heart starts pounding, like it's warning you before your brain catches up. A gut feeling, a knot in your chest, that subtle, almost invisible sense that something's off. The person who used to light up when they saw you, the one who reached out, who made you feel needed, suddenly feels distant. They don't message the same way. They don't listen the same way. They don't look at you the same way. But instead of facing it, you explain it away. You make excuses. You tell yourself stories. Because to admit the truth would mean tearing down that castle you've been building, brick by brick, out of nothing but hope. And let's be honest, there's something in all of us that clings to the sweet lie instead of swallowing the harsh truth. You're not watching this by accident. Some part of you already knows. Some part of you is tired of pretending you don't see it. Because yes, you might be surrounded by people, but how many of them are truly with you, for you? How many stick around when you're no longer useful to them? When you're not fixing their problems, stroking their ego, or filling their emptiness? Some people don't love you, not the way you think, not the way you need. They tolerate you. They use you. They manipulate you with a smile they've rehearsed 100 times. They keep you close, but never too close, because it's not you they value. It's your energy, your attention, your availability. And the worst part? They know exactly what they're doing. They know which buttons to push so you'll stay. They know how to sound broken so you'll feel the need to fix them. And you, with that heart that doesn't know how to stop giving, do it over and over, at the cost of your peace, at the cost of your identity. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why do some people vanish when you need them most? Why do they show up only when they're falling apart, but never when you're breaking? And how often do you give without receiving even a fraction back? The scales are always tipped, but you keep trying to balance them, sacrificing yourself in the process. Why? What are you chasing? Love? Acceptance? The validation you never got growing up? Maybe it's the quiet hope that if you give enough, someone will finally stay. Carl Jung said it clearly. People don't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to step into that basement of your mind, the place where you've shoved every "it's fine," every "they're just busy," every "it's no big deal." We're going to flip on the light in that corner where you've been hiding a truth you don't want to admit. That person who means so much to you doesn't feel the same. They never did. They were drawn to the reflection you gave them, not your true self. They liked what they could take from you, not who you actually are. And the most painful part? You knew it from the start, but you ignored the signs. The human mind is an expert at turning alarms into background noise, because admitting that you're being used isn't just humiliating, it's soul-crushing. It forces you to face your own vulnerability, your hunger for love, your emotional dependency. That's where the real fight begins, between the story you want to believe and the reality that's draining you. This video isn't here to make you feel better. You're not here for comfort. You're here because something inside you has had enough. You want answers. You want to understand why you keep letting people treat you this way. You want to learn how to finally spot them, the ones who don't value you, don't love you, and only use you. Not out of habit, but because it's who they are. Because it's their pattern. And this isn't just your story, it's a mirror. And what you see in it, you may not like, but you need to see it. So we're going to look closer at the cracks in human behavior, at the people who fake interest, at the way they use words like bait, appearing and disappearing just enough to keep you hooked. We're going to look at it through the lens of deep psychology, the shadow that Jung understood so well. Because if you don't face your shadow, you'll keep living inside it. This isn't just a video about them, it's about you. It's about the part of you that lets this happen. All right, let's keep going, but no fluff, no loops, no sugarcoating. We need to talk about something few people name, the invisible emotional debt. When someone uses you and you don't notice, or worse, you do notice but allow it, a silent, toxic agreement forms. You start to feel like you owe them something. You never signed for this debt. You never agreed to it, but you carry it anyway, because they've convinced you subtly that if you pull away, you're selfish. If you're not available, you're a bad person. If you don't save them, you're cold, heartless. They shape you with guilty silences, with phrases dressed up as tenderness, like, I don't know what I'd do without you, or you're the only person I can count on. They turn you into their safety net, their free therapist, their emotional partner without the commitment, their crutch. And yet, they never give you the same in return. They never sit down and ask, how are you? Really, because it's not about you. It never was. And here's one of the most twisted parts, the false gratitude. They'll thank you for being there, but never do anything to be there for you. They'll say, you're the best thing that's happened to me, but never lift a finger to protect your peace. Gratitude becomes a leash, a soft, manipulative one. And you, with your clean, giving heart, fall for it again and again, because some part of you clings to that role, the savior, while inside you're bleeding out. Jung called it the wounded healer, the one who fixes others but ignores their own wounds. That's you, patching everyone else's cracks while your own widen. Because the more you give, the more they pull away. The more you bend, the more they demand. The more you try to be valuable, the more they treat you like you're replaceable. And then comes the cruelest paradox, fearing the loss of someone who doesn't even love you. How do you explain that? It's because you're not mourning them. You're mourning the version of them you imagined, the potential you projected onto them, and they'll never be that person. The real key to breaking free is learning the difference between presence and connection. Someone can be physically next to you and still not be with you, and someone else can be far away and still respect and care for you more than the one who shares your bed every night. Some people don't stay because they love you. They stay because it's convenient, because you're useful, because you've become their free source of emotional support, their private audience, their dumping ground for frustration. If you don't stop it, this turns into an addiction, a one-sided emotional addiction that hides under the label of loyalty. You start justifying the unjustifiable. You normalize the pain. You romanticize the weight you're carrying. You convince yourself that real love is supposed to hurt, to require endless sacrifice. But no, that's not love. That's a lopsided symbiotic relationship where you give and they take, and take, and take. And if you're still holding on to the hope that one day they'll wake up and say, wow, now I see your worth. Let's be blunt. That's not going to happen, because someone who feeds off you isn't going to teach you how to walk away. Losing you would mean facing their own emptiness, and they're not ready for that. It's easier for them to keep you carrying their darkness while they keep pretending they're light. And here's where we go deeper. The idealization of the other person as a way to avoid facing yourself. When you idealize someone who's using you, it's rarely because they're truly that extraordinary. It's because you need something, anything to hold on to. You turn them into your anchor, your north, your emotional reason for existing. Because if you take that away, you're left alone with yourself. And that silence feels more terrifying than any disappointment they could give you. But here's the thing, you can't keep running from yourself. You can't keep holding on to someone who wouldn't even slow down to catch you if you fell. You can't keep calling it destiny when it's clearly just a toxic cycle on repeat. Want to know if someone loves you or just needs you? Watch what happens when you say no, when you set a boundary, when you stop giving them what they want. That's when the mask falls. That's when you see whether it was ever affection or just convenience. And sometimes the scariest part isn't the ones who manipulate you on purpose. It's the ones who don't even realize they're doing it. Emotional unconsciousness can be just as destructive as intentional manipulation. Some people have never worked on themselves. They're carrying wounds they've never addressed. They're trapped in patterns they've never questioned. And you become collateral damage in a war they're fighting inside their own head. But listen, understanding them is not the same as excusing them. You can have empathy for why someone is the way they are and still walk away. because your peace matters more than any history you share. You're not here to be somebody's project. You're not here to be someone's backup plan. You're not here to be an emotional cushion for their bad days. And if you've made it this far in this video, it's because something inside you is already starting to wake up. That part of you that's tired of being useful and ready to be loved, truly loved, without strings, without games, without debt. So the real question is, how many more chances are you going to give to someone who's already shown you they don't value you? How much longer are you going to delay the bravest decision you could make, walking away when you know it's time? You don't need to shout. You don't need revenge. You just need to do the one thing they fear most, disappear. When you leave, they can't use you. When you walk away, they can't twist your emotions anymore. When you shut that door, no matter how much it hurts, you take your power back. And right now, at this moment, the choice is yours. If you've listened this far, I'll tell you something nobody else will. You are not the same person you were a few minutes ago, because now you see it. You see the dynamic that was hiding in plain sight. You see the psychological game. You see the nonverbal cues that speak louder than any sweet promises. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That something's wrong feeling you've been carrying, it was real. That discomfort, that quiet unease, that constant tension around them wasn't paranoia. It was your intuition. It was your soul screaming while you kept silencing it to avoid upsetting someone who never truly cared about you. But now, you're not asleep anymore. The self-deception is breaking. You see the cracks. You see the imbalance. You see the dependency. You see that it wasn't love. It was need. You weren't free. You were useful. And now you know you can get out. Because the greatest act of self-love isn't just affirmations or bubble baths. It's cutting the cord with the people who don't see you, who don't respect you, who only reach out when they need you, but disappear when you need them. And this, right here, is the turning point. When you walk away from someone who only ever took from you, you're not the bad guy. You're the person who finally realized your worth has nothing to do with how much you give, and everything to do with what you refuse to give away anymore. You're not running away. You're choosing yourself. You're letting go of the version of you that settled for crumbs, that mistook presence for love, that put yourself last again and again. And yes, it will hurt. Your chest will ache. You'll feel guilt creeping in. You might even feel the pull to go back, to explain, to justify your choice. But hear this. Don't explain your peace. Don't justify your boundaries. Don't apologize for saving yourself. Because the truth is, if they didn't value you when you were there, they don't deserve an explanation when you're gone. If anything I've said has hit you in the gut, if it's stirred something you've been trying to bury, then I want you to do one simple thing. Write this in the comments. I'm not your refuge if you are my storm. That's it. It's more than just words. It's a quiet rebellion, a sign that you've opened your eyes, a mark for the people who've been where you are, who've lived this same cycle, who are ready to break it. And if this video has spoken to you in a way nothing else has, if you feel like I've put into words what you couldn't explain, subscribe. Not because you owe me, not because I asked you to, but because here, in this messy corner of emotional chaos, we're going to keep digging. We're going to keep uncovering the truths that make most people uncomfortable. We're going to keep pulling masks off, yours, mine, and theirs. We're going to keep choosing the truth, even when it hurts. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's been trapped in a relationship with no reciprocity for years, someone who's been waiting for a call or a text that deep down they know will never come. Be the switch that flips their light on. Be the reason they finally see what's really happening. And now I'm going to leave you, but not like everyone else has left you. Not with a fake goodbye, not with some generic take care. I'm leaving with silence. The kind of silence that lingers after the truth has been spoken. The kind of silence that forces you to think. Because even after you click away, my voice will still echo in your head. Not because I'm special, but because now you know something you didn't before. Once you know your worth, you can't keep staying where you're not valued. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and disappear from the people who drain you, from the situations that shrink you, from the cycles that keep you small. Disappear, not to run away, but to return to yourself. Because you can, because you must, because no one else will save you in the way you can save yourself. And if you need permission, here it is. You are allowed to leave. You are allowed to put yourself first. You are allowed to choose peace over chaos. Every single time. The people who never wished you harm but still caused it, that's enough reason. Enough to close the chapter. Enough to lock the door. Enough to finally choose you. Yes, it might hurt for a while. Yes, you might miss them. Yes, you might second guess yourself in the middle of the night. But every time you're tempted to go back, remember this. They didn't lose you because you stopped caring. They lost you because they never truly cared to keep you. And if they couldn't value you when you were there, they don't deserve you now that you're gone. So disappear. Not in anger, not in bitterness. Disappear in self-respect. Let them sit with the silence you leave behind. Let them face the emptiness you no longer fill. And you walk into the space you've been giving away to everyone else. You reclaim it. You live in it. And you protect it like it's the rarest thing you own, because it is. So here's your final takeaway. You're not running from them. You're running back to yourself. You're leaving behind the version of you that settled, that gave endlessly without return, that mistook dependency for love. And you're stepping into the version of you that understands this one truth. Your worth has never depended on how much you give. It's always been in what you choose to keep for yourself. That is the moment your life changes, and it starts now.